everyone, we're going to talk about setting up your distillation apparatus that you're going to use for several labs. To start, you're going to want a few clamps, and this is just going to hold, your fractional distillation column, your condenser, and your round bottom flask you have here. Other than that, you're going to need your transformer, the heating mantle, the lab jack to raise and lower the bulb, your magnetic stirrer. This is your fractional distillation column, thermometer adapter, so you can record temperature, distillation head, takeoff adapter, condenser, generally something to collect your distillate, which is either a graduated cylinder or some type of flask, some grease for your joints, water tubing for the condenser, and then several keck clips and your magnetic stir bar. The way I generally do this is just kind of work your way from left to right. Make sure that you give yourself enough room for the heating mantle to actually connect to the outlet. So if you have it way too far to the left, sometimes you won't have enough room to connect it to this outlet here. So make sure that I give myself enough room to work with. I'll just start by placing the items on the lab jack that I need. That's first just going to be my stirrer. And then on top of that, you're going to have your heating mantle. Your heating mantle is going to be plugged in to your transformer. This is how we control the temperature of our heating mantle. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. It can be a little hard sometimes. And then this is what actually gets plugged into the outlet, this transformer. Make sure that it's not heating when you plug it in. When it actually heats up, you're going to see a little light come on. Like that. If it doesn't come on, then either the transformer is broken, missing a fuse, which is just here, or your power outlet has been tripped, in which case you can just hit the reset button and try it again. The reset button is just here. So with those items stacked, I begin to place my other things, which includes your round bottom flask, and then go ahead and place the fractional distillation column on top of that. Before I do that, I'm going to want to connect my amps so that when I set it up, it's not going to go anywhere. So always make sure that your glassware isn't just free floating so it'll fall down. And we may have to adjust these slightly so that have to have some patience when setting this up. I'm going to guess and say that this is going to be pretty close. Bring this out a bit. With that set up, we can attach our distillation head, and that's basically going to be displaced by gravity, so we typically don't use a keck clamp here. With that, I'm going to use my thermometer adapter. If your thermometer doesn't go in nicely, you can always take it back out and put it in separately. And I want to push down gently, and I want to push down all the way until the bulb, the full length of the bulb, sits below this kind of imaginary line right here. So make sure that it's below the neck of this distillation head, about something like that. If it's too high, the vapors may not fully condense on the bulb, and you'll get inaccurate readings. Next, I'm going to place my condenser onto this distillation head, but before I do that, I may want to put a clamp so that this doesn't have the chance to fall down. Before I place the condenser on the lattice, I'm just going to affix one of these clamps. And remember that these can kind of rotate up and down, and then the arms themselves can rotate a little bit as well. So we want to create a path that the condenser can nice and easily run through. Like so. I'll take my condenser, put it clamp it onto the distillation head. Like this. Clamp the condenser into place. I can take my takeoff adapter. Using a keck clip, I can affix my takeoff adapter into place. Your joints are greased. If not, you can get a syringe of grease from the wall in the lab. This one appears to be pretty well greased, so I'm going to leave it alone. But if they're dry, you can always grease all your joints. So we're just going to affix it to the condenser and then place a keck clip to hold it there. Remember that the keck clips have two little circles of different sizes. This is the larger size radius. This is the smaller size radius. And that smaller side is going to just, be faced toward the smaller radius part of this joint, like this. So smaller radius, smaller side of the joint, and you just push down and it'll click. Like that. Be fairly secure. You can either connect another clamp distillate. In this case, we're just demonstrating with a graduated cylinder. Go ahead and just place a clamp below the takeoff adapter. We have a graduated cylinder to collect our distillate. We're going to want to set up our actual water so that we can cool the condenser. And you may notice that you have two different lengths of tubing. We have a shorter one, which is just here. I want to use the longer hose and attach it to the further distance from the faucet. Connect the longer hose to the longer distance and the shorter one to the shorter distance from the sink or faucet. And then always remember that water is going to come in through the bottom of the condenser and out through the top. That means I'm going to connect my bottom inlet port to the water, like so. And that leaves my outlet or top port to go into the sink. Only thing left to do is to just place my stir bar into the round bottom flask. And then you're going to add whatever you're trying to distill at this point. You can reattach it. You can use your lab jack to just make sure that there's just a slight pressure up against the fractional distillation column for a little security. And then, again, if your joint is dry, we can use a little bit of grease just to make sure that vapors can't escape. I'm going to secure this with a keck clamp. And then I can also secure this joint here. This one tends to come loose, as you just saw. We'll secure that one with a keck clamp too. With everything ready to go, make sure everything's plugged in, including our magnetic stirrer. And then before I actually distill, I can just turn on the water until we get a little bit of flow, ensuring that our hose is in the sink. And we only need a trickle for the water. And now we are ready to distill.